Hi everyone. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Today we've got a brand new story to share with you, so let's begin. I would like to say that I was devastated by her actions, but I cannot. Honestly, I felt more relief than anything else. Did I wish things had been different? With all my heart. I loved her. I cared for her. I wanted to build a life with her. I wanted to have children with her and raise them together in love and happiness. But it was not meant to be. It wasn't always like this. There was a time when we had a very happy life and we were head over heels in love, at least I was. The details of our romance don't really matter. But we met, dated, had fun, and experienced many adventures in several exotic places. And I thought we would spend a long and happy life together. We were both young, had higher education, and had great, well-paying careers with plenty of room for growth. We bought a nice house in a good neighborhood and were on the right path to realizing our dream. Linda is a beautiful, intelligent woman. However, I was to find out that she was also very manipulative, cruel, and seemed to take pleasure in causing others significant emotional pain when she felt like it. In short, she was a nasty piece of work. If I had to describe myself, I am above average in looks and height, and I am in excellent physical shape. I am not Adonis, but I am quite fit. We were married for just over 3 years when everything started to change. I thought we shared the same values: honesty, consideration, family, and loyalty. Before getting married, we discussed at length how much we valued honesty with each other. We also talked about how loyalty was an absolute necessity in our lives and that there would be no forgiveness for any act of infidelity. We also discussed wanting to have a family. We hadn't decided on the number of children we wanted, but we knew it would be at least 2. After that, we could decide if we wanted more. Part of choosing a home was the excellent reputation of the schools in our area. Our discussions also touched on when we would start a family. We decided that an ideal option would be to spend about 3 years just by ourselves. We thought this would give us time to establish ourselves in our jobs and also save some money, in case Linda decided not to return to work after the birth of the children. However, when the time came, she wanted to wait a bit longer before stopping birth control. I was okay with this, but she was very vague about when we would start a family. Again, I did not insist, but I asked why she felt the timing was not right. Again, she was very vague and never explained the reason why she wanted to wait. I was disappointed but did not force the issue. I was ready to give her space to think. Soon after this discussion, other things began to change. It happened gradually, but it was as mundane as any story about marital infidelity. She started working late, not too late, but later than before. The reasons given were promises of some promotion at work with a good salary increase and a bonus. However, nothing specific was said. The next issue was the infamous girls' nights out, GNO. She claimed to be getting to know the women she worked with on a more personal level. According to her, this would help with the mystical promotion she was working on. During this time, she seemed to dress a bit better, more sexually, and took more care of her appearance. Of course, all this was supposedly for the sake of career advancement. Along with working late, the GNOS, and spending more time at the gym to reduce her stress, we spent less and less time together. Moreover, her attitude towards me began to change. It started with subtle remarks and mild criticism. Nothing too extreme, just more negative comments than ever before, with a sharp edge. Furthermore, the comments were about things that didn't really matter. It seemed like she was trying her hardest to offend me. In other instances, she behaved disrespectfully. I talked to her about this, but she always attributed it to stress from work or said I was too sensitive. When I discussed the changes in her personality, she promised to improve, but it never happened. When I expressed my concerns more sharply about her behavior, she became defensive and/or openly started to belittle me. When I approached her about it, I was met with silence. This type of emotional roller coaster was very hard for me. I valued communication, but I wasn't getting it, or it was so negative that at times I avoided open confrontation. However, there were moments when discussions turned into arguments. In other instances, her attitude was indifferent. She acted as if she didn't care about my feelings or concerns. I truly felt that she was playing games with me for some twisted reason. I was still trying to talk to her, trying to make her tell me what was happening. I sent her text messages and emails, sharing my thoughts and feelings. I sent her cards and flowers at work. I tried to arrange romantic dinners. I suggested short trips together. I suggested counseling. I was trying to prevent the catastrophe our marriage was becoming. I repeatedly pointed out the problems as I saw them, but she simply denied that there was a problem or that I was exaggerating, or she would make promises to improve, but again, she never really tried. At other times, her verbal attacks were very harsh. These personal attacks, especially on deeply personal issues that I had trusted only with her, were very hurtful. Moreover, she accused me of trying to control her, of not wanting her to succeed, etc. All of this was complete nonsense. Instead of seeing the damage she was doing to our marriage and the real troubles we had, she started working even later, rarely had dinner with me. We hardly spent any time together. Some of our friends also saw her in restaurants, clubs, and other places with various groups of people, both men and women. Again, all this was done in pursuit of career advancement. In other instances, she denied being where she was seen. The denials were particularly vigorous when she was seen with another man. Only a blind fool would not understand what was happening. However, after several months of her crappy treatment, lies, deception, and lack of communication, I was ready for a life-changing event that would finally end what had now become a very unhappy marriage. However, instead of one great cataclysm, or finding irrefutable evidence of her infidelity, or catching her in bed with someone else, I came to a very simple realization. Why the hell am I trying to save a marriage with this nasty piece of work? Yes, I consider her treatment of me to be evil. You can't claim to love someone, want to spend your life with them, but then treat them with such open contempt and lack of respect. Moreover, by this time, I had no doubts that she was having an affair. Plus, we hadn't had sex for the last few weeks, and the excuses were unconvincing, so I just stopped trying. Anyway, after my realization, I quickly decided to leave this marriage behind. I found a lawyer and asked to prepare the divorce papers. We had separate accounts and credit cards, but also a joint checking and savings account. I took a fair amount from these accounts and simply transferred my share to a separate account. Each of us had our own 401k and investment accounts, so there was nothing for me to do there. Then I asked the lawyer to file for the dissolution of the property agreement for the house. I didn't think she would contest the divorce and probably would sign the papers when she received them. The company I worked for was an international conglomerate with offices around the world and numerous representations in the United States. I arranged a transfer to another office on the opposite coast of the United States. I just wanted to start a new life and thought that a change of scenery would be beneficial to me. My parents had passed away. My closest friends were scattered across the country. So again, nothing was holding me back in that city. As soon as the divorce papers were ready, I called Linda and asked her to be home that evening so we could discuss everything. I wasn't going to serve her at work. I planned to deliver the documents in person. She claimed she would be working late, but I told her it was extremely important for our marriage that she be at home so we could talk. Her response was that I was the drama king and she would be home by 9 p.m., and then we might talk, provided she was in the mood and not too tired. I suspected she was probably meeting her lover or someone else, so I arranged and paid extra for the process server to track her down and then serve her wherever she was at 6 p.m. By that time, I had already packed everything that belonged to me into my SUV. Apart from clothes, I didn't really have many personal belongings. I left all the furniture, photos, household items, and small souvenirs that Linda and I had collected throughout our marriage. None of this mattered to me. I made sure that, except for the photos, there were no traces left that I ever lived in that house. I didn't destroy anything in the house or do anything that could cause any dramatic statements. I simply didn't have the energy for it. I also didn't leave her any notes. I had been trying to talk to her for weeks, so I decided the divorce papers would speak loudly enough. Besides, there was nothing more for me to say. At 6:05 p.m., I received a notification from the process server that she had been served at a local restaurant where she was having dinner with some guy. At 6:07 p.m., Linda called me, but I declined the call and then blocked her number. Once again, I had nothing more to discuss with her, so I saw no point in answering the call. Then I got into my SUV and drove away from my hometown. About 10 minutes into the drive, I received a call from an unknown number. It was a crying Linda. She was begging me to talk to her, saying she was on her way home so we could discuss our issues. I just told her to sign the papers and hung up. After that, I didn't answer any more calls. When I got tired, I stopped at a motel and spent the night. The next morning, I checked my phone and saw numerous text messages and voicemails. Most of them were from Linda using another phone. A few were from her friends, and one from her father. Except for her father's voicemail, I deleted them all and blocked the numbers from which the messages came. After eating, I set off, heading to my new job and new home. Then I called her father and had a brief conversation with him. Apparently, Linda was devastated by the divorce and completely shocked. He also claimed that she needed to talk to me and that she would do everything possible to be together again. I simply told him that it was over. I made it clear that I had tried for months to get her to talk to me, but she was not interested in addressing the issues as I saw them. I also told him that I knew about her affair and that was a deal-breaker for me. He asked for proof, but I told him I didn't have photos or anything like that, and I hadn't looked for any. Her lies and deceit, combined with disrespect and lack of communication, had made me lose trust in her. I had lost all trust in Linda and had no interest in trying to reconcile. I always got along with him, so I showed him respect by talking to him and letting him try to persuade me to come back. But I said, what's done is done. In the end, he was displeased and started to harbor resentment towards me. Instead of responding in kind, I wished him a good life and hung up the phone. Over the next few weeks, I received numerous calls and text messages from many friends and acquaintances, but I usually didn't respond or responded briefly. They all claimed that Linda was devastated, but I thought she was playing the victim. Perhaps she had her own realization, but it didn't matter. I was no longer interested in her or her desires. My life with her was over. I did hear from my lawyer about a possible court-mandated counseling, but a quick teleconference with my lawyer, her lawyer, and the judge made that issue moot. I very clearly stated my stance on our marriage and reconciliation, combined with the fact that I now lived thousands of miles away, so the judge dismissed her request. I never believed that Linda truly wanted to reconcile. I thought and still think that it was all for show. Again, it seemed like she enjoyed playing the victim. Since I never answered calls from numbers not in my contact list, I never spoke to her in person. However, she managed to leave me a few voicemail messages. As soon as I heard her voice, I just deleted them, blocked the number, and, of course, never responded. She also tried to send me emails, but as soon as I realized they were from her, I just blocked the address and deleted them. Finally, just over 6 months after I left, I received a divorce decree in the mail. After that, I hardly heard anything about Linda. Sometimes I heard about her from a few friends and acquaintances, but mostly I politely listened and never asked for details. Over time, she was mentioned less and less. I never understood what happened to her, what made her treat me the way she did. The change in her was very striking and uncharacteristic, at least for the person I thought she was. Maybe she had been pretending all along, and the false face she showed eventually exposed her. Or maybe she had some mental disorder. Or perhaps the prospect and reality of starting a family drove her mad and triggered the downfall of our marriage. I will never know, but I have come to terms with my decision never to find out what made her treat me in our marriage with such disrespect and malice. I know some people might want to know why I didn't try to burn her to the ground, but honestly, I had neither the desire nor the energy. It takes too much effort and time to set everything up. Once I had my moment of realization, I saw no need for retaliation, and I didn't need any proof of her infidelity. What would that prove? Especially considering I didn't care who was blamed for the end of our marriage. If she lied and told the world I was at fault, who cares? I no longer allowed her to control me in any way. Moreover, I distanced myself from her and everyone else in that city. I don't care what they think of me. I took my chance to start over as I wanted and needed. In the end, living well is the best revenge, and I am certainly doing just that. And we'll see you in the next video.